As a 15-year-old in year 10, I was getting used to using social media for the first time. I was texting my friends that I haven't connected since primary school, right? Then I was texting this girl. For the sake of the story, we're gonna call her Stacy. Her real name starts with S, but Stacy's the best fit for her, okay? So me and Stacy were talking throughout year 10. We'd text, and it was fun and it was engaging, right?
Let me tell you guys a story about Stacy, alright? It was year 10. I was texting all my friends that I've met in primary school. You know the epilogue, right? But we're gonna focus on Stacy from the beginning to the end. Let's get into it. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, and if you've come for my short, then you know I've been wearing the same shirt and the same basketball jersey underneath, alright? Now, back in year 10, I used to be very, very cool. I think right now I started to develop a little bit of like self-improvement skills. Although I wasn't really watching the videos at the time at that point, I was doing better for myself, right? I started looking better. I started, doing better hygiene. And overall, I was just improving myself on social media, right? Now, when me and Stacy started talking with each other, it was online. This was on Instagram, I believe. Instagram first. This was actually before in year 9. We were just talking about random stuff that we both liked, I guess. And basically, I didn't really speak about her too much after that. Then into year 10, I just started thinking about Stacy more and more. I just started to think of, the conversation we had on Instagram a couple months ago in year 9. And I started thinking about her more differently, right? This, I would say, friendship that we already had before, I started to think of it more romantically, I started to really like this girl, And then, basically, before you know it, your boy had a crush, Your boy had a crush on this girl, man. And it was insane, bro. Like, I would say the one thing that I got out of it was I was just able to text her. I added her back on Snapchat in year 10, I believe. And we basically were just snapping each other every single day in, day out, And obviously, sometimes I try to convey a conversation. Sometimes she would respond. Other times, not so much. But then there was something that was going to happen, all right? What I'm about to say in the next few minutes was going to be the turning point for my relationship with Stacy, right? It will go from the absolute high to the all down low, right? I remember back in year 10 in science class, there was going to be a science competition where schools around our city would come together to compete to know which school did the best in that science competition, right? And I knew for a fact that this school, I'm not going to say its name, Stacy's school, was going to be there. So I was gassed, I was thrilled, At that point, I told my friend at the time, I really like this girl, And I said, don't tell anyone, because if you guys don't know, whenever I like someone, I try not to tell anyone about it, So I tell my best friend, I'll be like, hey, yo, this girl gonna be there, and I'm like, yo, I'm gonna speak to her, man. Say what's up, It's been a while since I've seen her face to face. It was literally in primary school. I've known her for a long time, so I was like, yo, I'm gonna speak to her, man. But I told him not to tell anyone, but truth be told, my friend, he tells my other 2 friends about it, and before you know it, about almost the whole class knows about this. So every single day leading up to that science competition, it was just getting more intense. I was just like, yes. Okay, just calm down. I was like, yes. Basically, when it came down to the science competition in the next few weeks, I was like, I'm ready. I didn't really think too much about the science competition much, but once it was the science competition, the day, it was August 2022. I was looking around for Stacy, right? Looking around for Stacy's school uniform or whatever her school is. I was just on the lookout, right? So then, once we were seated down in our row, they come in, bro. They come in. I see Stacy to my right. I'm trying to just play it cool. I was sitting down, doing the little Sasuke thing. If you know, you know. Just like that was pretty much it, you know. I was hitting up, and I hear Stacy calling out my name, waving towards me. I see some of her friends calling out towards me, trying to get my attention. I look over, hit her with a smile, and I'm like, I just gotta continue with it, you know. Yeah, once the announcement, obviously I didn't mention before, but we would put it into groups. So I wasn't with my friends. I was with two other people, two very smart people, and me for some reason. And I did my best to help out, you know. So then after that, we had a break, and I'm telling you right now, this break was probably the best break I ever had a day in my life in school, bro. Not even kidding, man. When I went there was a basketball hoop and everything, and so basically my school and Stacy's school, we ran down to the basketball hoop, and we were just shooting hoops. I was just like, you know, playing it cool. I spoke to Stacy there as well, you know, saying how things are going and how things are going and everything like that. And yeah, ever since that day, I was just buzzing, yo. You know, my feelings for Stacy was on an all-time high. After the science competition, I shook hands with Stacy's school class members, because I remember some of the guys I spoke to also go to Stacy's school that used to go to my school. And I shook hands with her. Then I shook hands with Stacy, and then she leaned in for a hug, and I was like, yo. I was smiling. I was like, anyways, after that, I didn't see Stacy until later in the year, but other than that, you know, we'll go back to our usual texting. This time the conversations were a little bit more fuller, and other than that, I was thinking about other times I could probably meet Stacy again. And the school really put me on this time, because next year from year 10, we had our year 11 and 12 ball. Now, most people would know that the year 11 ball or formal or prom is basically, you know, you guys know what prom is, right? I don't have to explain it to you. So basically the year 11 and 12 ball was coming up, and the school could allow us to invite one person into the school, and immediately my mind went Stacy. Stacy is the best choice. And I thought that, you know, Stacy and I really liked each other, and that's what it seems like. And even from this point on, I thought that we could really, you know, become something, you know. I'm talking to Stacy, you know, about my school ball and seeing if she was interested, and surprise, surprise, she was pretty interested, you know. But I had to explain to her that I had to give out this form to you, and at this point, I was trying to get into basketball as well. Like, I really like playing basketball. I wanted her to come to one of my games as well, but she didn't turn up. So when it came down to the coming weeks that I needed to submit the form, I told a player on my basketball team, a teammate, to hand this form out to her at her school, right? Because he went to the same school as her, right? So I thought, all right, this will be easy. He gives the form to her, she fills out the form, she gives the form back to him, and he gives that form back to me during a basketball practice, right? So I thought this was a good idea, you know, considering that I'm able to get that form to her through this guy, and I knew he was a reliable guy because he's friends with my other friends too, and we just became friends in 2022, so I knew this was a very good shot of me trying to invite her to the ball. At first, I never got the first one back, so I went to my school and asked again, can I submit a second form? And this second form, I gave it to my friend again to give to her, but I never got it back. So I had to keep getting forms again. I think I ended up getting 3. So this last form was the one, the deal breaker. I needed to make sure that I can get this form to her, but I had to think of another way to get it. What did I do? I just thought of the places she would be at, right? She sends me snaps of her working at her job, so I went to that instead. So I went to a job, I'm not gonna say the name, but I went there. I was like, hey, I just wanted to make a brief. I had to ask the manager to see if I could speak with her, and to my surprise, I got to speak to her, you know. It was something calm. I didn't know if she questioned if I was just happened to be at Macca's, but basically, all I'm gonna say is that, you know, she couldn't really do it. She was, you know, obviously working. You don't want to disturb someone who's working at all. So I just let it be. And I had to think of another way to either invite her. My only option was to go to her house. When I knew where the address was, I pulled up to a house. I waited because she wasn't home at all. Nobody was home. So I ended up waiting there for 5 minutes until a car pulled up to the driveway and I had to step out the car. And this awkward tension of me just stepping out of the car and just, going to, speak with her at her own house, basically uninvited, it was strange, man. And it seemed all good and fair. She signed the form, and that's great, mission accomplished. But was I supposed to be there though? That's the main question. Because that was the deadline as well. I had to get it in to school by the end of this week, in which I did, which means that she was now officially able to come. But then the heartbreaking news comes in.
What's going on, guys? I know there was more to the video than there was. I had to cut it out because the video went on forever and it was just dragging out, So basically, what happened with me and Stacy is she stopped, talking to me less and less, right? And by the time it was Christmas, she fully blocked me on all social medias. You need to understand that the girl that you like in high school, or the girl you think you like in high school, won't be that person for you. It comes with age, maturity. So for all the guys out there looking to be in relationships, I'm here to tell you, keep your head up, man. Keep your head up for a couple years. Work on being you like I did. Work on some things that interest you, and never put yourself below a girl that doesn't even really like you back, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Peace, guys.